Welcome to the Two Old Kids and Two Young Adults podcast. We've combined life experience with young adult drive and ambition. Are you just starting to college plan? Did you finish your education and wonder, now what? Join us in this lively discussion about the topics you need to know to create the next stage of your life's dreams, careers, finances, education, and more. Well, we are back with part 2 with Chris Carr. If you just followed the conversation that we had before, you don't want to miss what else is going to take place here with this incredible resource that we have today to help our young adults that are just starting into college and getting through that college time and navigating. Chris, we're so thankful that you're back with us. We've got Ed here and Capri, who asked some incredible questions in part 1 as she has just started college herself and navigating through it. So it was just real life application there. Ed, what do you think so far?
Yeah, he's pretty good. No, there's a lot of value in here. I'm glad we're doing a second portion to this because it's the aspect of the thing that probably scares parents and students the most, which is the unknown. Parents are not accustomed to the idea of sending their kid away. They're going to have some separation anxiety and they're going to worry about what's going to happen. For most young people, it's the first time they're away from home in an extended period of time where they don't have the comfort and surroundings of their own bedroom, their own family, their own food, their own everything. And they have to learn all these new skills that they never really had to worry about before. And at the same time, meet new people, and at the same time, adapt to a new education platform. And in Capri's case, she's going to be dealing with weather changes. For Southern California is much different than Indiana in the fall and the winter, right? So there's so much happening in such a short amount of time that it can create anxiety, stress, depression. And if you have to perform at the same time, that can be, it's not always, but it can be a recipe for disaster. So the feedback that we're getting in terms of someone who's worked with young people in this environment and getting them acclimated to it and getting them situated so their success is more predictable, this is the best conversation we can have.
Well, Chris, I want to come back in now with a mom hat. I know in part 1, I was definitely coming in as a host with those host questions.
I was going to wear the mom hat today.
It's not as cute on you, Ed. No. So I'm going to put the mom hat on now because my youngest daughter is starting college now. She's going to UCSD and we live in San Diego. And so she had that choice. We were within that 20-minute that she could live on campus or choose to stay at home. And she has chosen to stay at home, which I'm thrilled with. But there's a lot that went with that decision and I hope she doesn't regret it. And yet I know that for her, she really truly believes this was the best choice. My question for you is with that, she's not going to be getting that complete experience. Capri is there. She's immersed. She's in the small showers. She's got the roommate. She's doing everything right there on campus that so many are doing as they've just started in this fall season. My daughter's going to be commuting in. What would you advise for her to still feel like she's connected and taking charge of her academics there and the college experience while still having that live at home opportunity?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great question. Is this something that she decided just for the first year? Is it something that did you decide it's a long kind of something she wants to continue doing, or going to see how it fits, or what
I think she's going to see how it fits. She's young. She graduated a year early, so she's still young, and I'm not sure if she's like, okay, just this year and we'll see next year. I think she's really nervous. They haven't started yet. They're on the quarter system. And that's another question I have on navigating a quarter system versus semester system. So she hasn't even had this experience yet to even start thinking that through. It's a lot coming at her at one time. And for me, as well as the parent, where I let go and say, you're going to figure this out. And where I, say, but here I have all these great resources and let's just plug you in because I said so. And I'm not going to do that.
I think it'll be definitely a great experience no matter what. And I think the first thing is, which she probably maybe was already, I'm not sure what her mindset is like, but spending, almost spending like at least the whole day, like maybe going to campus in the morning and being there the whole time. And so I don't know if she plans on like coming back and forth a lot or
no,
like
she
only
would
going
there
when she
and
has
stay
classes.
there. One trip.
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah, like even maybe when she doesn't have classes, if they're depending on the schedule, like some days are lighter than others, but still being on campus as much as possible, and yeah, connecting with people. Definitely making sure like there's some activities, some clubs, like some extracurricular things that she joins, because there might be less like doesn't have maybe that like being in the dorm and just a natural like those connections that might happen like
Right.
at night, late at night when the people are hanging out and winding down from the day. So just yeah, making sure like I think it's important for all students to get involved in some way, but especially if she's not gonna be there, making sure like there's a couple things that yeah she finds that are either she knows she's interested in or that she really wants to try out, just to get involved, meet more people, connect to more people in different parts of campus, and feel like yeah, she's part of it, which she is
Right.
obviously. Yeah.
What is my role as the parent here? This is definitely new territory, and I'm not a helicopter mom already. I've been adult training all my kids since they were 5. Like, listen, we're gonna figure this out together. We're doing this together. But really, where is my role as the parent in this first year, especially?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's definitely important. Those, like you mentioned, those adulting skills are important to impart, and it sounds like that's been happening for a long time, which is really great. Um, yeah, I think yeah, it's tough because you obviously want them to do really well, and maybe I don't know if some parents have specific things that they want to see out of their kids, and I think that maybe makes it more, I don't know, might make it feel like there's pressure on the student to do certain things. I'm not saying that this is
Sure,
the
sure.
case for you obviously, but yeah, I think it's just like letting them, I think it's just like the student should have like I think like a mindset of like this is a place for them to, they're not fully formed yet. They're going and they're not ever not going to be like when they're when you're 30 and 40 you're still growing and learning. I think it's like
Hmm.
knowing that life is like you evolve. You're not just going to figure your life out in a year and then go do it like robotically and not think about anything anymore.
Right.
Like really, it's like you're going to keep changing. You're going to keep want to keep like having the student connect to their interests and like really just giving them the freedom to do that. But at the same time, they also don't have the students often don't have the big picture because they don't know what it's like to be 30 or 40 or 50 yet.
Right.
They don't have that context. So maybe there's some ways to yeah say here are some things that would be good, to do, like we've been talking about, like seeking out certain help or like making sure you're connecting to people on campus or
Right.
professors, and that so it's not like a way that's like nagging them or you're telling them here's what mom's telling me to do this. But I think just saying from the experience of like having been on the other side of it, like here's some things that you might want to consider doing, but like kind of giving them the autonomy to make decisions, but also with certain things like you really should do this like kind
It's
of like
delicate.
maybe insisting in certain way that you do certain things, but yeah, in a delicate way, not in a way that might make it sound like you're not respecting them or not
Right.
respecting their autonomy because they are growing and they need to feel that. And also,
Right.
it is delicate.
Right. It is. It's very delicate, and just giving them that free space to explore and learn. I always teach my kids it's okay to fail. It's okay to change your mind. This is your life. These are still your decisions at the end of the day.
Hmm.
I'll try to bring you all the resources I possibly can and encourage, but this is still your life. And she was very driven. High school, I didn't have to do anything. I just literally had to make sure she had food and water. Like there was just I didn't have to do anything. And then Ed was there to help her navigate through that application process and get those acceptances. But now college, I just feel like there's something a little bit different that's about to take place, and I can't quite put my finger on it. And I'm
Hmm.
not even sure what it is because I didn't go to college. This is new for me too. And so I find myself for the first time after 31 years of parenting in uncharted territory.
Yeah. First of all, I think just being aware of that is really wonderful. Just being like knowing that that's what's happening. And Ed, you mentioned in the beginning like dealing with uncertainty, right? I think that's kind of something that we're all dealing with, and maybe we try to control too much or try not to feel because it can feel overwhelming. But I think just yeah, both I think parent and student can go into it like maybe there's certain intentions, but leaving things open to growth and not expecting yeah things have to be a certain way or if you don't become a certain profession it's not going to be good or things
Right.
kind of even like indirect kind of pressure like that. I think just understanding that yeah, and maybe even having that conversation with like being open about, hey, for me as a parent, I'm in uncharted territory too, and so are you, and we're going through this together, this unknown together, and I'm here to support you, but this is your, you're taking the responsibility again for your choices.
Right.
Starting now, right? Yeah,
Right.
starting. Maybe it already started in high school, but but starting now, it's like you need to really think about what you're doing and why. Like, have a really good reason for doing the things that you choose, and making sure they're growth giving experiences. They're going to push you forward in some way, and a lot of it's also letting go, like trusting that they'll find a way without trying to control it, or expecting certain things. It's really, yeah, it's difficult. I can imagine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If I can, real quick here,
Yes.
what if you have a situation where your parent is very supportive still, but kind of on the opposite spectrum of Amy, where they have very big expectations of you that you're going to this school, you should be doing this, and they're constantly calling you like, hey, like, how's it going? And they're kind of almost, I will say, like, too involved in your college life. What can you say to students who might be experiencing that?
Don't answer the phone.
Right, yeah. Change your phone number. No.
Who it is?
Transfer and don't tell them. There's a lot of things you could do. No. Yeah, that's really a really good question too. I think it all kind of goes back to things that have been coming up in terms of, like, ultimately, like, it's still, like, it's up to the student to live their life, right? And I think especially with family members, it's hard to have maybe certain conversations. Like, we talked about the potential conversation with the roommate if we're not getting along with them. There's going to be times. Yeah, I think again, it's good practice to maybe have difficult conversations like this, even though they're not fun, they're not pleasant, and they're really difficult. They might be terrifying, but I think the sooner that you can do that, even maybe saying, yeah, not in a reactive way, but saying, here, like, in an almost like an instructive way, like, here's what I'm going through, here's what I'm doing and why, I don't like, and maybe even addressing, like, I feel a lot of pressure to do these things, and that's not in my interest, that's not where I'm going. Here's where I'm going and why, and really maybe sharing, trying to connect with them instead of, like, yeah, just turning away. It's again, not easy to do, but I think the more that you can practice when those situations do come up, like, practice those difficult, like, sitting in those, not running away from those moments, and
Yeah.
like, the more they're gonna be easier, like, later in your life, because you're gonna have to. Sometimes we have to just have conversations we don't want to have, and maybe it comes up in work. Maybe you're managing certain people, and you have to give feedback to employees later. So this is going to come up in a million different ways with friends, that maybe you need to setting boundaries. That's another thing that
Right.
students can learn to do.
Yeah.
Setting boundaries on their time and energy, like, is a really important one too. But that's something that is really difficult, especially with family and friends. We don't want to hurt people's feelings, and but it's something that I think for both, like, for you anyway, like, need really get to learn how to do, and it's gonna help, even though it's not gonna be fun. But it's, again, a good skill to cultivate, because it's just unfortunately needed at some time. Otherwise, you're always just kind of giving your energy and your power away to other people, and, like, people can kind of walk all over you, and if you don't really set those boundaries, I think it's yeah, even with parents, it's just good to be upfront and be like, here's how things are. And I think I think more often than not, like, people respect when people speak directly like that, because I think maybe don't always hear it so often. Like, I think we all want to, but, like, we don't. It's almost rare sometimes for someone just to come out and say something directly. Hey, this is with a roommate. Hey, what you're doing, this situation is kind of bothers me in this way. Can we talk about it? Like, that's not something that happens a lot, I think. Or people will do anything to avoid situations like that, to avoid the pain of having that conversation. So, like,
Right.
yeah, just facing it and leaning into it, and
All
yeah.
right. So
Yeah.
Wow.
the
Well,
two
see, Chris, this is
important
why
things.
we have this platform and you coming on like this. Hopefully that all of the listeners and viewers watching this on YouTube, that this is going to start creating new conversations between the parents and between the students and each other, which is, I love that you spoke to that, because it's time to level up the communications. And maybe this is allowing people to say, oh, okay, this is normal. It's okay. I was feeling that way too. I'm struggling with that as well. And the more we can create opportunities for the conversation, the more that can be mitigated. Like you're saying, know what those resources are ahead of time. So when you have the problem, you know where to go. I can't imagine any young adult, Chris, that would not absolutely completely benefit from what you bring to the table and what you offer. And with that, I would love to take this last time here that we have together. Can you share what it is you offer in your services? Because we want to like flood you with so much business that you never sleep again. So but let us know what you do, because I want this to be a value resource, or somebody might know somebody who really needs you. So let's walk through that process.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Yeah, it's been so great to have this conversation. It's so, I think, like you said, it's so important, and I think it's just a way to get people talking, and parents to talk to each other, students to talk to each other. It's really great that there's a lot of awareness around this. So with me, like there's a couple things that I do. Again, I think like I've kind of tailored my programs around the things that I've seen that I think the areas of support where students really aren't getting consistently. I think that's number one is the right, like academic writing, and using, not just learning the process of how to write, but I think students aren't really taught. And maybe Capri, you could tell me if I'm correct or if I'm wrong. Maybe I think each high school is probably different too, like depending on what kind of instruction they get. But like I think students aren't even told like why they're even writing so much. Like in every class they have to write essays, and in college you have to write all these papers. I remember being an undergraduate and being like, "Why everyone's writing papers? Like who's reading all these papers? All these papers are being produced. Like why are we all doing this? Like."
And then you write it and you feel like they don't even look at it for 5 seconds, and you're like, hey, like what's going on here? I could have just had a verbal discussion with you and we could have like both seen that we understand, but instead I'm writing this paper and it seems like you just handed it back without even reading it.
Yeah. Yeah, and students they think, oh, the only person that's going to read this is the professor. One person's going to read this. Why should I put a lot of time into this? Or maybe or especially in high school, this is a topic that the teacher told me to write about, so maybe it's something external to me. And I think really just going into college, like understanding that like academic work is really personal. Like I didn't really understand this until I was in graduate school. Like when I saw all the stuff I was writing they dealt with like questions and themes that like I was thinking about in my real life. They were in part of my real life, but they were kind of manifesting in the way that I was reading these books and whatever author or time period. And it was really interesting. I'm like, wow, this is really, academic writing is really, really personal. And I think that's where like shifting that mindset from like writing is something external to me that only one person's going to read. And, does it really matter that I put a lot of effort into it? Changing into thinking like, this is like whatever class it is, this assignment is a way for me to like investigate a topic that's important to me, and imagining that your audience is like, imagine you're writing for like all of your peers, like all college students and professors, instead of just the people in my class or just the one professor. Like imagine you're writing broadly to people your age. Like what are something like in that topic, like what question could you write about that might be interesting for you, but also for other people to read about, like that are living during this time, right? Or something like that. So really, like I think the mindset around why you were even asked to write so often is something that, like even just having a conversation like we just did, like shifts so much for students. Just like having them understand, like this is not just something that's not. This is important. It's important for me. Like this is a way for me to know myself better, to know what questions I really want to work out, what things are important to me that are going on in the world. So it's really, really powerful. So that's one way. And ideally, like we would do the academic writing work, like while students are still in high school or getting ready to college, like ideally, but it doesn't have to be that. We can definitely do that if students are already in college. And then, so that's one part. And then the next part is when they're in college, a mentorship, like working one-on-one, talking about the things that we've talked about. Like here's the beginning of the semester. What do I want to accomplish by the end of the semester in academics and my extracurriculars and my social life and my health, in all areas? What do I want to accomplish in 4 months from now? And then how do we break that down? Okay, this week I'm going to do these 3 things, and then we check in the next week. Did you do A, B, and C? Like you said, okay, I did A and B. Great, let's celebrate that. That went well. What went well about that? And then okay, item C, I didn't do. Okay, what got in the way of that? Maybe it was the club that you wanted to talk to your professor, but you got nervous and you didn't go or something. So whatever comes up, then we can address that. Like, okay, this thing that I believed, like I got nervous in the moment, got in my way. Okay, how can we talk through that so it doesn't happen the next time, right? So it's really just like the mentorship. It's really just whatever is coming up for students in their actual lives. We talk through, and there's weekly call. We set semester long goals, and then there's weekly calls that we do these check-ins and set mini goals so we can work up to the big goal and just kind of work through all the different things and all the areas of their life, talking about things that they should be thinking about, maybe might be coming up a year from now, just so they can get ahead of making like a lot of things we've talked about already. Just awareness, developing awareness and moving forward and keeping, pushing out of your comfort zone and growing and finding ways to stretch yourself. And I think those are things that a lot of people might want to do, but I think when it's just you can easily talk yourself out of doing a lot of the things that ways that you want to stretch yourself. So I think that's where the value of having support like that, who's not a family member and not an employee of the school that you go to. It's like, it's just me and you, we're connected. I'm connected to you and what your goals are. We're developing this vision together and putting a strategy and a plan for execution and seeing it come to life instead of just leaving it in the idea realm, So that's the second way. So the first is with academic writing, and the second is mentorship, while like again setting up, going through all the areas of your life on campus, and really to set up the life that really lights you up and gets you going in the morning, and developing those interests that are really gonna maybe develop into whatever it might be. It could be a career path, it could be just personal interest. We don't really know, but it's to connecting what really lights the student up, and what makes them get excited to get up and do whatever they're going to do. It's really fulfilling, because I think a lot of students are just like jumping through hoops that are set for them, and often it's so easy to forget about ourselves when there's so much going on and we're trying to do so much. So I think it's really important for students to have that support.
Oh, and you're creating an opportunity for complete life change. These are tools and skills, and understanding the power of having mentors, getting coaching, and setting a real plan. I love that you brought up their health, their wellness, their well-being, everything encompassed into being in college, because those are the same things that we need to put into our careers and take into life. And you're setting them up for success and changing their lives, and then the next generations with the tools that you're providing. And that's just hands down amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and like you said, these are things that they're not just solving maybe the immediate things that are coming up in their life. They're learning these skills. So when they do hit 30 or 35 or 40 and they want to I've been working in this field and I don't want to do that anymore. How do I totally shift gears? Well, I've already gone through that process. I've already gone through the process of how to develop a vision, how to seek out the support that I need, how to come up with a strategy, how to come up with a plan to execute. Like you've already done these things, and you just apply them to a different context, because you're gonna grow. You're gonna go through this a number of times in your life. It's not just figure out your life at 18 and then you're done, right? It's like this is gonna happen. It's gonna come up again. So if you have these skills, you're just so much more set up for
tools.
It's the same process,
tools
the same
that
thing.
You can pop into the next things and each shift and change in life.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, wow, Ed. We're gonna wrap it up here. We're gonna have you close us out, but what are your final thoughts here? Because this is
I got robbed. I didn't get to ask any questions. You guys robbed the whole stinking show. Listen, I got questions too, like study abroad, and I saw Peace Corps and how that fits into. So we'll get you back.
Part 3.
Talk about how that.
I'm hearing a part 3.
I want to talk about how those things are important. They shape individuals and those experiences. So look,
Can we just retain him for like a monthly visit? Is this?
I would love to talk about that.
Yeah. How about we do a monthly check-in with you?
Yeah, let's do it.
See how we spun that?
Like I said, we're just checking off the boxes. We got doctors all over the place. By the way, I meant to ask you, do you like Chris Carr, PhD, or Dr. Chris Carr? Which way do you like to roll?
I think with the PhD at the end, Chris Carr, PhD.
Got it.
All right. Well, guess what, everybody? That was Chris Carr, PhD.
There we go.
This is 2 young kids, 2 young adults, 2 old kids.
2 old kids, 2 young adults podcast.
I get that. I wrote it down. 2 young kids, it's 2 old kids, 2 young adults. Gosh darn it. I've only done it 18 million times.
Maybe we should have picked a different name for the podcast.
I know. It's 2 okay. I can do the numbers and the letters. 2 okay, 2 YA. That I can do. It's the word part that I'm struggling with. So listen, on behalf of Chris Carr, PhD, our guest for this episode, Capri and Amy and myself, I'd like to thank you for joining us on our show. And as usual, if you like it, give us a thumbs up. If it was informative, share it, because of course it was. And
Yeah.
if you love it, subscribe, because we have guests like this on a regular basis. Thanks everybody for being here. Chris, again, thanks for attending and being active and excited and all that good stuff. We appreciate it. Capri, enjoy campus life.
Yay!
Thank you.
We'll see you guys next week.
Make sure and subscribe to this show so you don't miss the next episode of Two Old Kids and Two Young Adults podcast. We want to hear from you as well. You can email us at 2ok2ya@gmail.com.